The tale, based on historical accounts, is set in 1883, when the U.S. Army is determined to stop the chief from crossing into Canada to escape the confines of a reservation. The story, told through the chief's perspective, reveals how he must face a tough decision. When the sun comes up today, the Lakota chief said, I must decide whether or not to cross into Canada. Sitting Bull had spent the night talking with a group of fellow leaders from other Lakota tribes. It was an urgent meeting to discuss a serious problem. The U.S. Army had given the Lakota chief two choices: go to a designated reservation or be arrested. The Lakota were having trouble adapting to the white man's world, and they were causing problems. Sitting Bull and his warriors had been successful against the U.S. cavalry at the Battle of Little Bighorn against General Custer. It was a hard fight, but the Lakota tribe had defeated the army. That was the good news. The bad news was that more soldiers were on the way. We can go north to the Canadian border, Red Cloud, the Oglala chief suggested. There is a lot of hunting and fishing. We will find peace. You can do whatever you wish, Sitting Bull answered. But I will never put myself in the hands of a foreign power. I will never surrender to the Americans. Then you choose death? Asked another chief. I have no fear of dying, the Lakota leader replied. If you choose the reservations, then you will be slaves. I would rather live a free life than live a life of slavery. What will become of our people? Asked Two Moons, a Cheyenne chief. Our children will die, said a Lakota chief, and the buffalo will die, and the Utes will die, and all of our relatives will die. No, that is not true, said Sitting Bull. We have fought many battles. We have defeated many enemies. We will defeat the white man. The men talked some more, but there was no agreement. Each leader knew that if the tribe moved to a reservation, they would be surrounded by soldiers. Their lives would be changed forever. If they went to Canada, they would be safe. They could keep their hunting lands and their traditions. The Americans have destroyed the buffalo and our way of life, the Lakota leader reminded his friends. They have killed many of our people. They have taken our land. Why should we give up everything we have worked for? The men discussed the situation some more. They argued and complained. Finally, the sun began to rise over the plains. It is time for us to go, the Oglala leader announced. We will travel to the border. We will make our own peace. I am sorry to hear that, Sitting Bull told his friend, but I will not change my mind. As the men prepared to leave, Sitting Bull's nephew walked up to him. I am going with you, the young man said. No, the chief answered. It is too dangerous. You must stay here with your family. I cannot, the nephew said. I will never be able to live with myself if I do not stand with you. Sitting Bull thought for a moment, then nodded his head. Very well, he said. But I will not allow you to come with me if you are not willing to do what is necessary. I will follow you wherever you lead, the young man promised. The two men shook hands and went off together. They traveled north for many days, staying away from the roads and towns. When they finally reached the Canadian border, they were surprised to see a group of soldiers waiting for them. We are here to escort you across the border, the leader said. There is no need for you to worry. We will provide you with food and supplies. Thank you, the Lakota leader said, but I will not go. I beg your pardon? The soldier asked, surprised. I will not cross the border, Sitting Bull said. I will not give up my freedom. But sir, it is not safe for you here, the soldier replied. We have reports that the U.S. cavalry is on its way. They will arrest you if they find you. I know, the Lakota chief answered. And I will fight them. The soldier shook his head. Sir, that would be suicide. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Maybe, the Lakota leader said, but I must do what is right for my people. Sir, I admire your courage, the soldier replied, but I must insist that you cross the border, for your own safety. No, Sitting Bull said firmly, I will not go. Then, I am afraid I will have to place you under arrest, the soldier replied. Go ahead, the Lakota chief challenged. Do your worst. The soldier hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside. Sir, I will not do this, he said. Your bravery has impressed me. I cannot arrest you. Sitting Bull turned to his nephew. This is your last chance, he said. Are you sure you want to stay with me? I am sure, the young man said. I will never leave your side. Very well, the Lakota chief replied. Then we will stay here and wait for the U.S. cavalry, his nephew added. The soldiers watched in awe as the two men stood their ground. They knew they were witnessing a brave and determined act. I hope you are right, the soldier said, but I fear you are making a big mistake. The Lakota leader just smiled. He had made his decision, and he was prepared to face the consequences. Let's go, the Lakota leader said, turning away. We have a long day ahead of us. Sitting Bull and his nephew headed back toward the plains. They knew the U.S. cavalry would be looking for them. They also knew that the fight would not be easy, but they were ready to do whatever was necessary to protect their tribe and their way of life. The two men walked together until they reached the edge of the forest. There, they stopped and turned to look back at the soldiers. We will meet again, the Lakota chief promised. Yes, we will, the soldier replied. The two men held each other's gaze for a long moment. Then Sitting Bull and his nephew disappeared into the trees. The soldiers watched them go, knowing that their fate was now in the hands of the spirits. And they lived happily ever after, the young girl said, closing the book. She looked down at the small boy sleeping peacefully beside her. I'm glad the chief and his nephew defeated the army, the boy said sleepily. That's how it should be. The young girl smiled and tucked the blanket around the boy's shoulders. Good night, little brother, she whispered. Sweet dreams. She leaned over and kissed his forehead, then tiptoed out of the room. She paused in the doorway, watching him sleep. His dark hair was tousled and his skin glowed in the light of the moon. Thank you, Auntie, the young girl said. That was a beautiful story. I'm glad you liked it, the old woman replied. It is an important story. How so? The girl asked. It reminds us of the importance of protecting our traditions and our heritage, the old woman explained. And it shows us that no matter how powerful our enemies may be, we can never give up hope. You're right, the young girl said. Thank you again for telling it to us. It was my pleasure, the old woman replied. Now get some sleep. You'll need your energy tomorrow. The young girl smiled and made her way to her own bed. She closed her eyes, her mind warriors and determined chiefs, fighting for their freedom. And in the morning, she woke up ready to face the day, knowing that her ancestors were with her, always.